Hello, everybody.
Hey, hey, hey.
All right, there we go. All right, so welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Monday, August the 12th, 2024. So at the beginning of the week here. So I hope everybody's had a good weekend. We had some pretty good conversations going on last night, didn't we, Rick?
Yeah, for sure.
We almost
Definitely.
went three. We just went just shy of 3 hours.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that was more because you wanted to cover those couple articles, and
yeah,
that's all
I
right.
mean, yeah. So I mean, because those articles I felt were pretty meaty and pretty discussion worthy, but we got into some other, and we did have a good run of answering people's questions and stuff like that too. I think
Yeah, which is good. Always being able to interact with your audience is always
it's just part of the thing I like to do. So anyways, so I'll ask this again now that we're on air as well. How'd your day go today?
not too bad. Went out to try and uh, well, go to a temp agency to register. Well, I wasn't able to register in person, but I was able to register um, virtually. Went to a food bank to grab some groceries. Went to my bank to try and correct my online banking. And yeah, a couple other minor things. But overall, not a bad day. I mean, came home and waited to get on here by watching YouTube, playing some Minecraft.
All right, yeah, I know how that is. I got up, I went up, ran up to the store, got my energy drink, and came home, got caught up on my subscriptions, and got caught up on like all the AEW stuff, in terms of the stuff going on over the weekend. Like what I do is I'll watch the stuff online here, and then I'll rate it on Cage Match. So that's what I do a lot of times, and then of course, eventually, of course. Got around to watching my afternoon animes, and then started prepping for this. So anyway, before we do get started, Rick, did you want to do an intro real quick? Talk about anything you're promoting. Talk about your channel.
Well, I
Anything for
will.
the shtick, right?
Yeah, well, there's the link to my channel for anybody that's here that might like to go over and subscribe. Um, because I'm needing it. Seeing as how I'm not down to like 829, so you know YouTube is. We've talked about this off air, but YouTube is seeming to take away some subs lately.
Yeah,
For whatever reason, it's something that YouTube
I think
does
periodic.
every
I think just periodically they just go through purges. They go through and see, okay, what accounts haven't been active in a while? Okay, are they still active accounts? And they just either suspend them or just delete them for some stupid reason. But
Yeah, it's hard to say for sure. Um, what's why I think that's being done, but it is. And that just means I need one more, so I need 171 to get to, of course, the 1,000. But then the real thing I need right now is the watch time, and
all right,
hopefully soon I'll be able to get that back up there.
all right. Well, with that, is there anything more you'd like to add to that, Rick?
Not at the moment. Probably anything that I'm gonna talk about for in-depth stuff for my comics. It will be tomorrow night on my stream.
All right, and of course, don't forget to go catch that, people. All right. So, with all that being said, with that being said, of course, I guess it's time to talk about what's on tap for tonight. Now, of course, tonight I do have a couple of articles from Bounding into Comics that we're going to go over. One revolving around the Cape Crusader, Batman Cape Crusader cartoon. Another one, a censorship article revolving around a game. Usually I don't cover a lot of video game stuff, but considering um, some of the stuff like Mecha. It's called, I think, Mecha Drive or something like that. Um, and I guess they're censoring the word Donald Trump. Yeah, the developers actually apologizing to people for the developers apologizing to people for the censorship issue. It's one of those things, I guess, where let's see. Yeah, well, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But before we get into the articles, I do have a little piece of sad news to report for all the anime fans out there. So it's been going around today, and I also saw some of the headlines, looked into it a little bit. Voice actress Rachel Lillis passed away on Saturday at the age of 46.
Oh wow,
Many,
that was young.
yeah, well, many of you, of course, will remember her. Primarily as the first English voice on the Fox Kids dubs of Pokemon, as the first English voice of Misty, of Jessie, and a few other female characters on that show. Among some of her other well-known roles include, of course, Utena Tenjo in Revolutionary Girl. These are all dubbed roles, of course, of the animes that we're talking about. Utena Tenjo in Revolution Girl Utena, Yuriko Star in The Irresponsible Captain Tyler, also Haruna Kasagawa in which is Midori's mother in Midori's Days. So yeah, she passed. She, I guess, was apparently diagnosed with breast cancer, I guess, sometime last year, 2023. Because as far as I know, from what little information that was out on it, she apparently was in a nursing home at the beginning of the year here in January because after being diagnosed with breast cancer, it apparently spread to her back, leading her without the ability to walk. So
Okay.
she was, so, and apparently she wanted to move into house care because the noise of the nursing home, the noise of the nursing home would not allow her to rest. So, her sister started up a GoFundMe back on May 13th to cover, home care, a home care nurse and all the expenditures there for her back in May. And of course, a number of people from New York, a number of her friends from the New York voice acting community, including her two co-stars on those first seasons of Pokemon, Veronica Taylor, who was the first voice of Ash Ketchum, Delia Ketchum on there, as well as Eric Stewart, who provided the voice of Brock. Contributed to the
GoFundMe.
The GoFundMe. She I guess finally succumbed to the breast cancer this past Saturday on the 10th. So with that, now what I'd like to do. And hello, Goodnight Spoon, Rick. What do you think of my anti-car propaganda?
Or, in other words, cultivating propaganda.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm not sure completely. I haven't seen all your.
So before we were interrupted there by Goodnight Spoon. So with all that being said, now that I've kind of told you all about who Rachel is and what she's done and what happened, I'd like to have a moment of silence for her, as and fans out there, if you can give the, of course, as always, give the family time to grieve. Don't I know everybody, they did say they'd be setting up a memorial at some later date, but right now, just give the family time to grieve and, just leave them be.
Yeah.
Be respectful and who's this? Rachel Lillis, Goodnight Spoon. Rachel Lillis, who was she passed away at the age of 46 on Saturday from breast cancer. She was originally based out of New York. She did move to LA in 2013, but she's her primary claim to fame was she was the first English voice of like Misty and Jessie on the Pokemon series back when 4Kids was dubbing the series. So that's who we're talking about. She passed away on Saturday. So anyways, so what I'd like to do now, as I said, is I'd like to just give a moment of silence for Rachel, but give our thoughts and prayers to her and her family, and in this difficult time. So here we go. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of funerals, I was actually at a memorial on Saturday too because a friend, well, she was a friend, but a friend's wife died about a week and a half ago. Not this Thursday that just passed, but the Thursday before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I know, so yeah, so that was unfortunate. I mean, and she was still Rachel was still fairly young too. She was like 46, like only 2 years younger than I was. She was born in 78, so yeah. Anyway, let me just take care of something here, and then we will get into
78, 5 years younger than me.
Well, I'm only 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, so now let's go ahead and get into the articles tonight. As I said,
Okay.
two from. What was that, Rick?
I just said I'm still here. I'm just grabbing a drink.
Okay. All right. So the two articles we're going to look at tonight. One, Batman Cape Crusader showrunner Bruce Timm says Penguin was gender swap. They're talking about the gender swap Penguin in the Batman Cape Crusader animated series. And the other one is Mecha Break Dev Studio apologizes after Trump censored from in-game chat. Claims banned word list was suggested by a third-party company. So those are the two articles we're going to look at here.
Yeah, I haven't watched this new Batman Cape Crusader yet.
Well, I've heard, it's kind of sad because I guess Bruce Timm, who is known for being the creative force behind like Batman the animated series and the DCAU that developed out of it back in '92, has now apparently bent the knee, as it were, and has apparently gone woke here. So because they gender swapped Penguin in this series, that was one of the things that was really been talked about the last few weeks here. But anyways, let's get into the article here. Batman Cape Crusader showrunner Bruce Timm says Penguin was gender swapped because one of the problems with Batman, as he is, there's a lack of good villains. And they were, I think, and a lot of people are interpreting, they were talking about, because I know Rex was talking about this the other day too, on his channel as well. they're talking about lack of good female villains, but then apparently they forget about Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn. Apparently, anyways,
Yeah.
article like
Okay. Well,
go
with that, I would say yes, all those villains are good villains. Batman doesn't have a lot of female villains. And you know what? That's all right. Because do you really want to see this guy beating on women?
yeah, and the only other female villain that they have for him is Magpie.
Yeah.
That's the only
Well,
other one I know of who's
there
at least
was one.
part of his Rojan. Actually, I do have to make a slight correction. Well, let's see. Bruce Timm did add in Baby Doll, a new character, back in the animated series, but then also,
He also added in that female Russian, really well built. She was in like one of the first episodes
hmm.
of the animated
Oh,
series.
the Red Claw,
Yeah.
who was voiced by Kate Mulgrew, who of course went on to voice Captain Janeway on Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
So,
But I think it's good that he doesn't have a lot of female villains. And then they say good villains. So, well, do they mean he has some bad female villains? What does that mean? If that's what it means,
I think they expound on that in the article here. So,
yeah.
because I know when people have talked about it, they've talked a little bit about that too. Article by Spencer McCauley published on August 11th, which of course was yesterday. So, and there's the gender swapped penguin right there.
Doesn't even look good.
Yeah. All right. So, according to showrunner Bruce Timm, the penguin was gender swapped for Batman Cape Crusader because both he and series producer James Tucker, who was another name from the old days as well, felt that the Dark Knight lacked good villains, quote unquote.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And then I have to say, this is going to make the Penguin something good. The Penguin was good before. Just swapping him doesn't make him any better.
Here's another kicker, Rick. Here's another kicker for you, right? This series is supposed to be set in the Golden Age.
Yeah.
This series,
there was a lot of female
set in the Golden Age, like set in the 40s, basically.
Yeah, well, that's all right because in the comics that we're reading, we've seen a lot of female villains, that are crime bosses or whatever.
Yeah,
maybe not a lot.
A lot of strong female characters too. It's it's like they weren't just. Grant, you did have your damsel in distress ones, but you also had your ones who were like Sheena, for example, Sheena the Jungle.
Yeah, they should have taken from Gotham and did that one woman that was in there, the black lady. I forget what her name was or what they created. Fish. I think her name was Fish. They should have brought her in. If they wanted to bring a female villain in, could have brought her in because I thought she was not too bad. It was a little wonky just because you'd never heard of her before. But why not create another one? Why do they just have to gender swap?
Yeah, because again, it's more like it's a lot easier to get your when you're pushing propaganda, when you're pushing agendas, it's a lot easier to use an already established character than just to create a new one. Because people have even though the problem with doing a switch with established characters, you turn off a lot of the fan base. I mean,
yeah. So thus it ends up being.
When Vera Dark was reporting on this today, right? When Vera Dark was reporting on this today, she had even pointed out, if you wanted to really bring in another female villain, why not have like the Penguin and Penguin's daughter, right? Just make it canon in your universe to where Penguin had a daughter. In the main universe, Joker had a daughter, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's not his real daughter. She claims to be his daughter, but she's not really not blood. But still, it's you know the. I was gonna say something. It becomes more problem. Unfortunately, they think it's easier, but it ends up because they do it and they get so much backlash. It ends up
Mm-hmm.
becoming more problematic than good.
Yeah.
I would say.
Well, even Vera Dark pointed out that gender swaps really don't work because what it
Yeah.
ultimately happens is you change the essence of the character.
Yeah, like I don't mind the whole quote unquote gender swap universe, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Like or universe 2C or whatever, something like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's continue on with the article here. Uh, so, Tim, whose other additional DC animated credits include co-creating Batman the Animated Series, as we talked about earlier, and helping oversee the subsequent DCAU that followed, provided this insight into his creative process while speaking to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, otherwise known colloquially as the Television Academy, regarding Batman's latest television adventure. Asked by the Academy's Christine Champagne as to why he made the choice to turn the Penguin into a woman, Tim replied, quote, James and I were talking about the overview of the show, and we said, quote, one of the problems with Batman as he is there's a lack of good villains. Um, you've got Catwoman, you've got Poison, and I guess he means good female villains here because he then goes on here to say, you've got Catwoman, you've got Poison Ivy, you've got Harley Quinn, but it would really be good to have more female villains. So he's talking about good female villains, not
Or he's
good.
just talking about good or female villains in general. Well, you created Harley Quinn. You did a
Mm-hmm.
good job at that. Maybe you could create another one.
Yeah, but you know what I think is going on because one of the things that Vera Dark had theorized when she was covering the story today was that it might be coming more from up top, more above them that's pushing this. Rather than having him create a new character, they want these more established characters. Might be coming from up top. Hey, yeah, change this character around or change this. You know, um, either that or you just gone stupid woke.
Yeah, there's always that, right?
Yeah. And off the top of my head, I said in small parentheses here, we never really could figure out exactly what to do with the penguin, what the gimmick for the penguin would be. What if we gender flip the penguin?
The gimmick for the penguin? Hello, he dresses like a penguin.
He dresses like a penguin, utilizes birds in his crimes. Okay.
He's
Um,
already got his gimmick. He's had his
yeah,
gimmick for
I
like
mean,
80 years.
yeah, I mean, and that's another thing too. Just again, and as we even were talking about with the even with what we are talking about with the over the weekend and over the past week with the localizations too. Just completely trampling over a lot of the original creators' intent and just rewriting what they originally intended. Let's see now, Mike, are you a team Joshua or team GKS?
And you have no
I have
idea
no
what.
idea who Joshua is. I mean, I don't pull me into your games, please. BJ was saying, "What's your favorite Harmon anime series?" I'm not exactly sure who Harmon is. And since you're kind of, and let's see, BJ, since you're one of the you're an anime fan here. I don't know if you had heard, but Rachel Lillis passed away over the weekend. You know, from breast cancer. I don't know if you had heard about that or not. We did talk about it a little earlier, so hopefully I let you know that. Anyways, and a friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share this thing, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability. So, with that being said, and why did I do that? I don't know. But anyways, I don't know why I did that. Anyways, you there, Rick?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. So, interjecting with his own recollection, the aforementioned Tucker further noted, quote, when he said maybe we can gender flip Penguin, I just got this flood of ideas. I was thinking of Marlene Dietrich in her tuxedo and Cabaret, the musical, and the art form of cabaret, and I just started drawing. I instantly got a flood of ideas. Also, I was thinking a little bit of Harvey Feinstein, okay, and Hairspray and Divine. It was like I knew instantly um, what it could be.
Well, at that point, you should have just thrown it away.
What was that, Rick?
At that point, he just should have thrown it away.
Yeah. So, and smaller quotes here. That was the mission statement for the show in general, unquote. The series EP executive producer added, quote, to do something that harkened back to the original but flip it. We've seen live action and animated versions of Batman on TV.
Like, bring back Egghead. It'd be nice to see Egghead in a cartoon.
Yeah. Taking a statement at face value, one can only wonder if this is truly Tim's personal sentiment towards the Dark Knight's Rogues Gallery, whether or not he's ever truly paid attention to the very property he's worked on. Yeah, you do have to kind of wonder that, considering that Batman the Animated Series was a great piece of work, and a lot of people loved it. He didn't feel the need to go jingering around with that, when he was doing that. So
Yeah.
from Bane to the Riddler to the Joker to even Tim's own personal creation of Harley Quinn, Batman's foes are some of the most recognizable and compelling throughout not just comic book canon, but the entirety of worldwide pop culture, which is true. However, in the interest of fairness, given Tim's history with the DCAU and the fact that he only cited Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn as examples of quality Batman villains, it's possible that the showrunner misspoke and actually meant to claim that the hero suffers from a lack of good female villains, an assertion which, while still factually absurd, given the existence of such other Gotham-based villainesses like Talia al Ghul, which I forgot about, Ra's al Ghul's daughter,
Yeah,
Lady
same here.
Shiva,
Yeah.
Lady Shiva, and even the Tim-created Batman the Animated Series original villain, the Phantasm.
Yeah, forgot about her. Another one.
And Rick, you were the one who mentioned the Claw too, from the first episode. Makes slightly more sense than his presented blanket statement. And there's, of course, the Batwoman or the Phantasm right there, mask. The first season of Batman Caped Crusader is now streaming on Amazon Prime. At current, word remains out on whether or not the series will be renewed or any further
Oh,
outage. Well, from what I understand, a lot of people have been kind of, the gender swap penguins not the only problem. Apparently, Batman is once again once again, much like in He-Man Revelations, apparently the main character takes a back seat to all the supporting characters.
oh wow. I'm gonna have to check it out at some point. I've also got to check out the rest of the season for that. My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah. Well, we've seen what we've been seeing what again, I can even watch it after the first few seconds.
I
I
got
tried
through
to
the
watch
first couple.
My Adventures of Superman, just couldn't watch it after the first couple of first few seconds of it.
I got through the first few episodes.
Yeah. All right, so here's the other article we're going to go over tonight. We're already at the 31-minute mark. I'd say we're making some good time here. Let's see. Mecha Break, small quotes there. Dev Studio, that's developer studio, I believe, apologizes after Trump, in smaller quotes, censored from in-game chat, claims banned word list was suggested by quote unquote third party company. Article
If it's the
by
word just Trump, that's just ridiculous because the word Trump, besides
there
referring
actually
to
is a legit meaning for the word Trump, like a trump card,
yeah,
or you trump somebody, like Trump trumps Harris, right?
yeah,
Or Trump
yeah,
trumps Biden, right?
yeah,
Article
but
by Spencer Corley
yeah.
published yesterday. All right, so let's get into this here. See if no, I guess not. All right, so Korean developer Amazing Season Games has offered a public apology after it was discovered that its upcoming title, Mecha Break, had instituted a game wide chat ban on the term Trump, but had not done the same for the names of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. A massively multiplayer mecha combat game, and then a bunch of invites players to customize their own unique mechs, from their armor to their weaponry to their paint jobs, um, before flying into battle against their fellow. So basically, it's kind of like It's like Gundam and Gundam kits, basically, or mech kits.
Yeah.
Just in a cyber world, version there. While the game has yet to receive an official release date, it is currently holding a closed alpha playtest, thus allowing the aforementioned chat ban to be discovered by players. One such player was none other than former World of Warcraft dev and current anti-DEI video game activist Mark Grums Kern, who on August 10th took to his personal Twitter account to reveal, quote, Mecha Break censors Trump, leaves Kamala and Biden alone, unquote. Now, Kamala, now how she pronounces her name is Kamala, but a lot of wrestling fans out there, particularly older wrestling fans like Rick and myself, would know there was actually a professional wrestler named Kamala who spelled the name the same way there,
Yeah.
Kama. The
It's
guy,
just
the
like
big black guy who'd go around, he'd have like a moon and a star on his belly. He'd go around patting his, the
yeah.
Ugandan Chinese.
I know it shouldn't be quite the same as this, but it's tomato, but it could be like data and data. One is his
Yeah,
name, one is
yeah.
it's probably more like
I know.
that.
I know. I was just drawing the comparison
Yeah.
there. sharing a screenshot wherein his own attempt to send the message, quote, Trump versus Kamala Harris versus Biden to the game's global chat had the former president's name censored with asterisks. Kern asserted, quote, I've gotten a report that Mecca Break is censoring Trump from chat, but not Kamala Harris or Biden. I tested it myself to verify. I've reached out to their community manager to ask about the obvious political interference in gaming, unquote. Shortly after Kern's post, the Mecha Break dev team took to the game's official Twitter account to both admit to the unfair chat moderation and apologize for its implementation. Quote, attention pilots. During the past few days of our playtest, we have received feedback that our list of censored words in the game's chat was in need of some refinement, unquote. Wrote the team. Quote, if you have been offended by any player language in chat, please accept our apologies. English is not our team's first language, as we are an Asian game studio and have never attempted to launch a global game before, unquote. Which it sounds reasonable, you know.
Yeah.
And if they jumped right on it, right? If they jumped right on to correct the problem, then I would even give them even more the benefit of that, because if the problem was brought to them and they pretty much got right to it and fixed the problem right away, then that should also tell you that it was not deliberate on their parts.
Yeah, well, I could see it taking a couple days, because sometimes this stuff will take a couple days to change and implement. So,
right, and I think most people would get that, but I think they were still, they still, like, some people will hem and haw and say, they hem and haw about it, trying to get around it. But from the looks of it, I think these people were just up and forthright about it, and I don't think I don't think it was probably. It doesn't sound like it was deliberate. But let's get on with the article here. So, moving to explain just how the banning of Trump's name actually came to be, the devs recalled, quote, we sourced a list of words from a third-party company, which included words for multiple languages that would not likely come up during gameplay, as game chat is primarily intended to be used for team coordination.
But you want to know something? I could see that word coming up. Trump. Forget even about Biden, but the political.
Well, again, the word Trump, even if you don't capitalize the T, the word Trump obviously has
other connotations
other than being a guy's last name. Trump card.
Means
like or whatever.
You're gonna come in with Trump. You're gonna Trump them.
Your age or your go-to, right?
So, it's a way to it's a surprise defeat.
Right. So,
for lack of a better way of saying it, I think.
Yeah. We are currently in the process of revising the censored word list and making changes in real time. If there are any hurtful words or phrases that have been missed, or censored words that you believe should be uncensored, please send them to our customer support.
Oh, that's good. I'd say good customer relation.
What would you say that my theory that this is not deliberate on their part, and they just kind of because the third party was had an agenda and decided to use this company's ignorance of certain situations to take advantage of the situation?
Possibly. BJ says, so is Washington Evergreen State a bad area? I would have no idea.
Washington Evergreen State. Well, the name of the state is Washington. I don't think it might be nicknamed the Evergreen State, but I don't think the whole. I mean, I think the eastern part of Washington is probably could be considered nicer than the western parts where more of the cities are. You know. So, but anyways, um, continuing on with the article here. As of writing, it is currently unknown which specific quote unquote third party company was consulted in regards to Mecha Break's chat filters. However, given the very specific targeting of just Trump's name, it's more than likely that it was one based somewhere in the United States,
Yeah,
and a
I could agree to that.
left-leaning company at that. So, um,
That looks like that's the end of that article.
yeah.
Actually,
All right.
technically, Donald Trump wasn't mentioned; just his last name was.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Trump has other meanings, and again, being
Yeah,
the name.
yeah, and that's why
All right. So let's see
just to
where
assume
we're
that
at.
it means something political is dumb.
All right. So, anyways, so those are the two articles we're going over tonight. 41 minutes, so not too bad. So, I think I'm gonna move right into the I'm
Rest
gonna
of the
move right
wrap up.
into the wrap up. Of course, a few things happened over the. Of course, WWE had Friday Night SmackDown, and also we'll have Monday Night Raw tonight. Um, you know, let's see. AEW had Collision, of course. It had Rampage too, but we'll cover Collision more because that was more the highlight program. And then TNA had Impact on Thursday. So with all that being said, let's get into the wrestling wrap up here. Let me get over to go over to that. Let me first see if I can do it. I'm gonna dot it though.
Oh, I'm not done here, but when you go to have some of that vegetable juice, beware it's not going to taste as good as it normally does because it's got low sodium, which means low salt. Probably if you. Yeah, but it gives it a different taste. I don't think it's good. You can yeah. Well, you can probably put a little bit of your pink salt in it to make it taste a little bit better. I just said let you know in advance.
I got one in the glass over there, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Rick, were you aware that I could hear your domestic discussion there?
Oh crap! No, sorry. I did. I turned off my camera and I was thinking I muted myself at the same time.
I mean, yeah, I get it, but anyways, so we're gonna go ahead. I'm back. Well, you missed the two stories. Good night, Spoon. We're getting into the wrestling wrap up now. So, anyways, so on this past Thursday's Impact on Access, um, past Thursday the 8th, it was announced for emergence, of course, qualifying matches for the Ultimate X match for the X Division title held by Mike Bailey. Now, even though he did not have to qualify, he insisted on qualifying for that match, but as a caveat, and the qualifying matches were three-way matches, triple threat matches. Santino, Director of Authority Santino Marella told Mike Bailey that if he lost this match, he would have to relinquish the X Division title, and it would be basically up for grabs at the it'd be vacant until the winner of the Ultimate X. Now, for those of you who don't know what an Ultimate X match is, it's a match in which you have an X, you have something hanging over the ring, and you have two wires, like high wire kind of things, crisscrossing each other, and at the center of it is a prize. Usually it's an X, but sometimes it can be a belt or a suitcase of money, depending on what the prize is. In this case, they're setting up for the Ultimate X match at Emergence, which is in a few weeks. Anyways, in the first qualifying match, Mike Bailey defeated Jake Something and Trent Seven. And then the next match was Kushida defeating Jonathan Gresham, who suddenly went back to his old personality. Apparently, he'd been having a personality problem the last few weeks, where he was embracing a more of a darker aspect of his personality. He was spitting up ink everywhere. People were getting sick around him. But all of a sudden he's back to normal. So, Jordan Grace, in an open challenge, put up the Knockouts World title. Answering that open challenge was Rosemary. Match ended up in a no contest when Ash by Elegance and her manager, her personal concierge, basically interfered in the match and attacked both Rosemary and Jordan Grace. In the second qualifying match for the Ultimate X, the second qualifying three-way match for the Ultimate X match at Emergence, Zachary Wentz of the Rascals defeated Dante Chen of NXT and Casey Navarro. And in the main event, saw Joe Hendry defeat Wolfgang of NXT's Gallus faction. That happened on Impact as they're preparing for their upcoming Emergence pay-per-view. And I can see Rick, you're muted.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure my end did not interrupt your go through.
Yeah. Now moving on to Friday, of course. First, we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to talk a bit about SmackDown here from Friday, as WWE is coming off of SummerSlam here, and coming off of a few major changes and storylines developing as such, as they actually prepare for the Battle of Berlin at the end of the month here. The opening match saw in a number one contendership semifinal match in a tournament to name number one contenders of the WWE Tag Team titles, the Street Profits of Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford defeated A-Town, former WWE Tag Team Champions A-Town Down Under of Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Jade Cargill defeated Alba Fire. In a number one contendership match for the United States title shot, Santos Escobar defeated Andrade. Santos Escobar will now be set up to take on LA Knight, I guess, next at Battle of Berlin. LA Knight just coming off, of course, of his victory over Logan Paul to become the United States champion at SummerSlam. And the other semifinal match for number one contendership to the WWE Tag Team titles, DIY of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa defeated Pretty Deadly duo of Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. So that all happened on Friday night. Now moving ahead to Saturday and Saturday's Collision. On AEW's Collision. Let's see as soon as I get there. As AEW, of course, is continuing to prepare for their next premium, whether you want to call it a pay-per-view or premium live event, all at Wembley Stadium in London, coming up on the 25th of August here, which I believe will be 2 weeks from yesterday. The opening match saw Darby Allin and Hologram team up to defeat the Premier Athlete duo of Tony Nese and Josh Wood, with Mark Sterling and Arya Davari in their corner. In a Texas bull rope match, not a traditional not a traditional one where you actually have to drag your opponent around the corners. You could still win by pinfall submission here, but and this was a women's match. This was said to be the only the second Texas bull rope match in the history of AEW. Thunder Rosa defeated Deonna Purrazzo in a battle of two former world champions here. FTR defeated the Outrunners in a tag team match. Roosh defeated former stablemate Preston Vance. In a AEW World Title Eliminator match, Swerve Strickland defeated Tomohiro Ishii. Hikaru Shida defeated Aaliyah James, which also set up a match for her to challenge Mercedes Moné at this upcoming Wednesday's Dynamite for the TBS title. And in a number one contendership match for the AEW World Trios title, with one third of the AEW World Trios title winners or champions as a special guest referee. Major screw job in this match, a double knockout of the two top contenders of the Bang Bang Gang of Juice Robinson and the Gun Club of Austin Colton Gunn, taking on the House of Black members of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. This was more set up by Christian Cage and the EVPs to try to take out his competition to where he and his team wouldn't have to defend the titles. So at All In. But so that's all I got for you on the wrestling wrap up. So we will be getting to this day in each history in a moment here. But I guess there is something more to be. I guess you guys were having a bit of a chat here, Rick.
Yeah, you can ignore it.
Yeah. All right. I don't recognize any such organization.
Oh, the Church of Starfire.
Oh, yeah. All right. So with that now today being Monday, August the 12th, 2024. Oh, we have the
Backson?
The Backson here. I am a rock, I am an island. First two lines
Cool.
are two lines from the chorus of a Neil Diamond song, I believe, or Paul Simon, one of the two.
I don't know what we are.
Paladin? Yeah. So, anyways, with that, today being Monday, August the 12th, 2024, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! So let me just take a quick peek there, okay? So first off, we're going to head back 15 years ago. And on this date, 15 years ago today, on this date back in 2009, the 880th issue of Action Comics went on sale on this date back in 2009. Sold for $3.99 with 40 pages. You had two stories here. The main feature, of course, was Superman. Codename Patriot Part 2. And then Captain Atom Chapter 2 was the backup feature. So on this date, back in 2009, the 880th issue of Action Comics went on sale on this date. Went on sale on this date back in back in 2009. So moving ahead to 2019, on this date in 2019, on the night
so 5 years ago.
5 years ago, yeah. On the night after SummerSlam from the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event. The show main event saw Seth Rollins defeat AJ Styles via DQ. In a match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross retained over the Kabuki Warriors of Asuka and Kairi Sane, who are currently part of Damage Control. As was the case back then, the 24/7 title went through a few hands that night as the Revival defeated R-Truth. R-Truth then defeated Scott Dawson. The Revival, of course, is currently FTR and AEW, just by the way. Scott Dawson, I believe, was, I think that was Dax Harwood. And Elias then would eventually defeat R-Truth. Lucha House Party of Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado, Kalisto in their corner, were challenging the Revival. And that match ended up in a no contest. And the show opened up with Drew McIntyre defeating Cedric Alexander. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. As soon as I can find the cursor here to do what I need to do here. So with that, I thank everybody for being here today. Tonight, we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow night. Now, before, of course, we go, I want to, Rick, if you want, I'd like to, if you would you like to do an outro before we head out?
Well, I'll put my link in for anybody who wants to go over and check out my channel. I guess we'll talk about this whole Templar thing tomorrow night. Good night, Spoon. As well as while I show off some height variation of various characters across comics. I've been doing a lot of that this last week, drawing up characters in the house.
Yeah, specifically broccoli. All right. So, with anything more, Rick?
No, nothing that I can think of. Just hopefully you like what you see when you go to my channel. If you do, subscribe and ring the bell. That way you'll find out when I'm on.
All right.
Or what I'm doing.
All right. So with that, I thank everyone for being here tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.